So I've been waiting for this fragrance since I got a sneak preview of it last year during Extrait. Rabbit is finally launched from the house of Zoologist Perfumes, and I can't say enough great things about it. It's another gourmand fragrance from Zoologist Perfumes, and they don't have a lot of gourmand fragrances in this house. My favorite happens to be Bee. Still a favorite, but Rabbit comes really, really close. I can't decide which one's better as far as smell goes. But in today's video, I'm going to talk to you about Rabbit, the latest Zoologist fragrance, and also another fragrance from the house that launched this year, Penguin. What do I think about Penguin? Find out all about both of these fragrances coming right up. Thanks so much for tuning in. It's Sebastian. We're talking about Zoologist Perfumes, Rabbit, and Penguin. Are you a fan of the fragrances of Zoologist Perfumes? Let me know. Put a comment down below. I do have to say these two fragrances are a bit more mass appealing than traditionally the fragrances can go. Animalic, edgy, indie, and challenging is the right word to use on some of their fragrances. They can be very challenging, but these two are both created by IFF perfumers. For Rabbit, we have Fanny Bal, and then we have Chiaki Nomura for Penguin. So both of the perfumers work over at IFF. I'm more familiar with Fanny Bal's fragrances in comparison to Chiaki Nomura, but both fragrances are great. Both perfumers did a great job with both of the fragrances, capturing the inspiration of the animal. In Rabbit, we have a carrot cake themed fragrance or inspired fragrance, and then with Penguin, we have a very ice cold fragrance, and I'm gonna tell you all about that one as well. Both of the fragrances I am enjoying, but between the two, I much prefer Rabbit because I'm a gourmand lover. And even though I spoke last week about one of my favorite desserts inspired or smelling like a fragrance I reviewed, we have another even more loved dessert of mine here with Rabbit, carrot cake. Carrot cake is one of my all-time favorite desserts to eat. In fact, it might be my favorite. I have made plenty of carrot cakes in my lifetime. I haven't done it in a long time. I'm busy shooting videos instead of baking at home. Otherwise, I'd also be extremely fat. But carrot cake, whenever I get the chance to have one or a slice, I'm all over it. And that's why this is, the Rabbit was a fragrance I've been waiting for to launch, because I got a preview of it last year. I had a small sample of it, wore it. I couldn't get enough of the way it smelled because it does remind me of carrot cake. Great inspiration for a Rabbit focused fragrance to be inspired to be smelling like a carrot cake, because rabbits do enjoy eating carrots. So it's a 2024 launch. Fanny Bal is the perfume. As always, the fragrances of Zoologist Perfumes are Extrait de Parfum. And with this fragrance, we've got Biscuit Accord, vanilla, carrots, cinnamon, green vegetable leaves, white almonds, hay, musks, patchouli, apple, bergamot, clover, flower accord, violet, and jasmine absolute. When you look at or read the notes, it doesn't look like it's gonna be full-on gourmand. And it is exactly that. It doesn't really develop into an in-your-face, super syrupy, sticky sweet kind of a gourmand, because what happens at the top, the greenness, the freshness of the fruits and the citrus touches, but there's the warmth of the cinnamon up top as well. Still kind of cuts through the actual gourmand touches of the fragrance and giving you not necessarily a full-on gourmand. So when you first spray Rabbit, there is an overall experience of the theme of the carrot cake, this smell, but up top you're getting that green vegetable accord. So there's a greenness, a freshness against the warmth of the fragrance, and also the powderiness of the fragrance. There's a lot of powder here. In fact, this fragrance is uber powdery, and I think Bee was also quite powdery as a fragrance, but I think Rabbit is a bit more powdery. So you're getting the idea and the smell of carrot cake because some of the other notes that are against the top notes are more prominent. So it's giving you the carrot cake experience right off the bat, but you're experiencing the freshness of the vegetable leaves, the greenness, and then also the fruits. The apples there are quite prominent, adds a fruity layer against the greenness of the green vegetable leaves. So this is what's happening. It's fresh, it's fruity, and green, and also warm, spicy because the cinnamon's up top. Cinnamon's key, and it's also key in creating carrot cake. I always threw in a lot of cinnamon in my carrot cakes. Although I didn't use apples in them, you'd use some kind of a fruit. I used pineapple, but here they're using apples to create the smell because it needs either raisins or pineapple. I was threw in pineapple, but you can also, you know, shave some apples just like you're shaving the carrots. So up top you got that kind of green freshness, but the fragrance is kind of warming up. So in the heart notes you're experiencing a very floral touch, but also vegetal and also powdery. The vegetal touches and the powdery touches comes from the carrots. So it's slight vegetal, but more for me, it's reminding me a little bit of iris and its powdery qualities. And also we've got the violet here that throws in even further floral powdery touch. So it makes for kind of a dry powdery fragrance. For me, it's a very, very powdery experience. You'll notice that when you first spray this. So I feel like the heart notes is an important part of the fragrance because it does feature the carrots. I'm not sure it's providing that flavor in the fragrance that you would get when you're having it in a cake, if that makes sense. For me, it's acting more like iris, but in a more vegetal way. Finally, in the base notes, it gets gourmand. It gets further gourmand. And also a bit animalic. I do have to say, this is an animal-inspired fragrance. And there's a slight funk in there, especially when you're starting to experience the hay. Hay can always go funky and animalic for me. More a bit slight barnyardy, but there's enough of stuff going on in here that covers it up, so it acts a bit musky while you're wearing it. There's a slight funk there, but it's not anything that's going to turn you off and not appreciate the gourmand qualities of this fragrance. And again, it's not like a full-on gourmand. I would say B is more gourmand than Rabbit is. It's just not sugary, sweet, sticky, caramelly kind of a thing. Especially the fact that you got all that greenness running throughout it at the top. But you know, the fragrance develops into this really nice warm fragrance. You know, you've gone through this ride of different experiences with this fragrance, but it eventually, the biscuit accord comes in, the vanilla comes in, and a bit nuttiness comes in as well. And then the muskiness and the hay and the patchouli comes in to develop and round out the fragrance. In the end, you are really wearing something that reminds you of carrot cake. But very, very delicious fragrance. I think this will be a perfect fragrance for the autumn and winter season because it's that kind of fragrance. The cinnamon that's in here, for me, is pretty prominent, and it's got that red hot experience, so it's got a lot of warmth against all that green, fresh fruitiness up top. So it kind of, you know, wraps the fragrance around it. It's what really does turn everything else that's in here into a carrot cake like experience. At least for me, that's what I think the cinnamon is helping it along, and that's why I feel like this will be a perfect fragrance for the holidays. It's super, super delicious. I hope you guys get to try it, and I still think B is my favorite of the fragrances of this house, but Rabbit is so close, so close. Really, really close, because it's really, really great. And this is great to know that Fanny Bal created this, because I know of her fragrances from Frederic Mall's Sal Gauze, and you know, a few other fragrances that she's done utilizing the orange blossom note. So D'Orsay, Costume National. She's also done a few fragrances for Maison Margiela, and you name it, various other brands. But she's done a really great fragrance here. I like the fact that since it is an animal-inspired fragrance, there is a little funk under there. But compared to other zoologist perfumes that are more daring, more animalic, this one, I think, if you're into the idea of carrot cake, definitely check it out. So this is Rabbit, the first fragrance to review for you guys. And then finally, the second fragrance I'm talking about today is Penguin. And I was pleasantly surprised about this one as well. I first thought this is going to go so marine and aquatic, it's going to turn me off. It doesn't. It really, really doesn't. So this is, once again, an IFF Perfumer, Chiaki Nomura. This bottle is the Iceberg Edition bottle. I think this is also, the Rabbit is also a limited edition bottle. Let me show you the box for it. It's so cute. Right there. And you have a photo of Fanny Bal there. And with Penguin, this is a limited edition bottle. Here we've got Chiaki Nomura, and usually they write down the notes in the fragrances as well. As you can see, it's written down here. So Penguin, again, it is I'm surprised how good it is. Although it's not as good as Rabbit for me, but it's totally wearable and it's ice cold. So it's the kind of fragrance you would wear when it's really hot outside to give you that kind of subconscious cooling effect. But for notes, what we've got are Antarctic Air, Ice Accord, Juniper Berries, Sea Moss, Suede, Musks, Sandalwood, Pink Pepper, Saffron, and Cyst Absolute. So I think the fragrance for me, at least when I'm wearing it, is ice cold up top. You get that kind of ice cold feeling because it has the Antarctic Air and Ice Accord, but it also has juniper berries. I've always mentioned in videos that in fragrances, juniper berries creates an ice cold metallic sharpness. It's there here with this one, but also when you first spray this one, you do notice some smokiness. I don't know, I think it's from the Suede Accord, maybe the Cyst Absolute or the Saffron, and the Saffron is also contributing to a kind of a sharp metallic edge as well. So with this one, there's that smokiness, and I just think that the way the notes are composed, I'm getting a leathery smokiness or some kind of smokiness against the ice cold qualities of, you know, the fragrance inspiration, which is the Antarctic, where the penguin lives. Eventually, the fragrance settles down to leathery experience and mossy, woody, and musky. But along the way, you'll experience spices and amber and things like that. But this is an amber that's not quite like the syrupy, sweet, sticky kind of ambers, you know, that we're familiar with, that have, you know, those resins, benzoin, and, you know, vanilla and things like that. This is more dry and also more metallic, more sharp, more cold, rather than your traditional warm, syrupy ambers. The fragrance also, for me, went masculine. It really is a very masculine-leaning fragrance for something inspired by a penguin, which is a fine thing for me. The other thing I want to say about this one, seems to be one of the most mass appealing fragrances from the house. Penguin is very, very mass appealing. So if you like the idea of the ice cold aquatic ozonic thing happening with the Antarctic Air and the Ice Accord, along with the juniper berries, and you know you want some smokiness and leather and things like that, spices, I think this will satisfy. But I like I said, these two fragrances, especially Penguin, are more mass appealing than daring previous, you know, zoologist perfumes fragrances. So there is definitely a mass appealing quality about them. I don't know, maybe it's the perfumers, maybe the perfumers that work for the firm, but over and beyond that, the fragrances are very, very polished. So I've smelled plenty of zoologist perfumes fragrances. I can smell without knowing who the perfumer is. It's an indie perfumer versus, you know, a perfumer that works for a firm, a large firm like IFF. And with these two fragrances, I can tell these two are definitely done by, you know, perfumers that work for the large firms like IFF. Anyway, those are my thoughts on these two fragrances. I know the review was less about Penguin, more exciting about Rabbit, because Rabbit is the kind of fragrance or perfume that I like. And as I said, I've been anticipating this one since I sampled it last year. I thought it was great. When Victor, the man behind the brand, showed me the sample during Exxon's last year, he said carrot cake, and I was like, whoa, this is going to be fun. Because, you know, carrot cake is one of my favorite things. It's just a very comforting dessert for me to have. And wherever I go, I seek it out because I find it to be extremely delicious. And I used to make it all the time. So this totally gives me that kind of comforting vibe. Very, very comforted with the way this smells. It's just, you know, that's how it is on me. And I'm going to potentially wear a lot of it. With the Penguin, once again, it seems a lot more mass appealing and leaning masculine, which is not a bad thing in the end. And I was getting into this fragrance thinking I probably am not going to like it. I thought it might go extremely marine, and thankfully it doesn't. So it's very wearable. But some of you might think it's just too mass appealing. I would say check it out and see what you think about it. Both of them are done great with the perfumers. And I'll wait to see what else Zoologist Perfumes launches next. Do they go more mass appealing, or do they go more daring, indie, artisanal? We shall see. But for me, both of these from Zoologist Perfumes are really, really great. So get your nose on them, Rabbit and Penguin. and let me know what you think about them. Put a comment down below if you've already sampled them. Other than that, guys, thanks so much for watching today's video today. If you have any questions or comments, please list below. Let me know which one sounds great to you. Does Penguin sound great to you, or does Rabbit sound better to you? I know you guys are Gourmand lovers, and I always mention that's probably one of the reasons why you guys tune into my channel, because I love Gourmands. But maybe you like more fragrances like Penguin. No, you know, mass appealing, aquatic, kind of leathery, ambery fragrances. So yeah, let me know. Put a comment down below, and thanks so much for watching today's video. If you have any questions or comments, please do list below. Please like this video. Please share it. Follow me on Instagram and Facebook, and I'll be back with more videos very soon. Have a good one. Goodbye.